Hey everyone, it's Mr. Soder coming at you with a lesson about pay periods and what is gross pay. So first things first, we need to kind of establish a few things. We have now presumably gotten a job and we are evaluating our pay, right? Because one of the things you're going to do is once you get the job or get an offer, you're going to have to take a look at, well, how much are they paying me? Is it salary? Is it per hour I get paid for or per job? Or do I get a percentage of something like sales? What are my commissions, right? So there's a lot to think about, and that's what we're going to explore in this unit. The first thing we need to know is we need to understand how do work calendars work. So it's really important to understand, like, hey, we're going to go ahead and take a look at what do each of the months, years, etc. mean. So let me go ahead and erase that. So I'm going to try and annotate as I go to fill in the blanks here. Okay. All right. First things first, what we're going to do is for key concept number one, we're going to look at how many months are in a year. So some of these might seem obvious, but it's good to clarify what's what. So number of months in a year, we know that there's 12 months, right? So there's really nothing to that. Number of weeks in a year, there's actually 52. This is one that people sometimes don't think about just because, you typically know that in a month that there's 4 weeks a month. So in your head, you're like, oh, 4 times 12 is 48. But remember, it's 365 days, 365 and a quarter days technically. So we have 52 weeks in a calendar year. Number of days in a year, that's the easiest one, right? We have 365 days, and that's just it. So if you worked every day of the year, you will work 365 days in that one year. Okay. So one thing I wanted to kind of highlight here, and this is not a must know, like to me, this is kind of the big thing we need to keep in mind. So just to clarify that component. Okay. Just so you know, in most businesses, when you are salaried, you do get 2 weeks worth of paid vacation. Okay. Now, there is this idea of full-time versus part-time work and salaries versus non-salaried, but in general, you will get 2 weeks of paid vacation. Some places give you more, like a teacher. Some places give you less. Some places don't. You can take, up to 2 weeks, but it's frowned upon to take vacation at all. So keep that in mind as you are getting hired to places, and you should probably make sure you know what you're getting into when you take on a job. So in other words, work weeks in a year, you can count on 50, right? And the number of days in a typical work week will typically be five, right? We normally don't work on, say, Saturdays and Sundays, or some people who have to work the weekends might get a Monday, Tuesday off. Um, and therefore, number of days in a typical work year, right? If you're working 5 days a week and you're going to work 50 weeks, right, is only going to be about 250 days. So that's one way to think about where it's like, oh, okay. So typically, if I have a 5 day work week, we're working 50 weeks out of the year. That's going to be 250 days of work. So it's really not that bad. So in essence, you get 110 days off a year. It doesn't seem like that to most people because you have to work the weekend or you don't work the weekends. And so you have to come back on Monday and people are like, oh, I don't want to work. I don't want to work. So that's that. Okay, moving right along. Let me erase this because it's going to move down with me. Okay, so let's keep moving right along. So here's the second concept. So we need to understand what a weekly pay period, biweekly, and monthly are. The words are kind of confusing, so just stay with it. We're going to try and keep it uniform. Weekly pay period means you get paid once a week. So paid, and I'm trying to write it. I guess I could type this out. Let me just write it out instead of typing it. Let's do a text box here. You get paid once per week. Right, so typically at the end of the week. So in a weekly pay period, you get paid once per week. Remember, you only get paid for the hours that you actually work, right? So if you didn't work that week, then you should get nothing. Biweekly means we're going to get paid once every other week, or in other words, it'll be once every 2 weeks. There we go. That's a lot better than my handwriting. And then for a monthly pay period, we're going to do something different. In this case, we're going to just pay once per month. And typically that happens. Typically you'll see it come out the first, 15th, or maybe the 30th day of the month. Every employer is different. It just depends on how they do their accounting. As teachers in the Puyallup School District, we get paid on the 30th of the month. Okay, so we kind of have that happening, right? So let me go ahead and scroll down. I'm guessing the text boxes will stay, and they do. Okay, so you're going to fill in all of this based on the information that we have, right? So read carefully, take a look at, what my job pays, right? How am I going to get my checks? And think about, do a little bit of math to think about how many paychecks in each year would you get depending on that pay period, right? We remember how many months are in a year, etc. Okay, so hopefully these are pretty straightforward. And last but not least, what I want you to do is just review kind of the percentage math that we were doing yesterday. So go ahead and bang those out. I'm curious to see what you write for number 10, $799.70 in US currency, and a couple other percentage things. So I think that's pretty much it. But again, with the job that you're going to get, you need to make sure you pay attention to how much are you going to get paid? A, how are you getting paid? And how frequently you're getting paid. So those are all really good questions that you need to think about before even accepting a job. So we'll talk more once I return to the classroom. Thanks for listening.